Good evening, everybody. My name is Kara Brooks, and today I'm going to be presenting to you about the School Improvement Action Plan, which is other words known as SIOP. Um, as a lot of you know, I have been working on my administrative add-on license, and part of the requirements is to go over the School Improvement Action Plan. And a lot of you have taken place, were on the committee with me to work on this SIOP, so you're very familiar with this and what we had to do and our end steps and our action steps to make our school a positive environment. So let's go ahead and go through some of the things. Those that don't know, please feel free to ask questions at the end. I have a link too for feedback or questions so that you'll know. I know it was kind of hard to get everybody on board with this as far as our schedules weren't matching. So this is something that's going to be recorded, which it is being recorded, and it's something actually that you can play back later and to inform other staff members of this as well, because it's going to be sent out to the staff. So what is the SIOP again? So the SIOP is a comprehensive analysis of student achievement and action plan to make it happen. We're examining our school climate by looking at our teachers' working conditions survey, and we're also evaluating the resources for necessary for the school improvement. It involves everybody, all stakeholders. Everybody can take a part of this. Everybody should have a voice. We must remember our purpose. And when I say we must remember our purpose, I had an opportunity to attend the assistant principal retreat, and one of the things that stood out that one of the presenters said, and she passed out to us, was this quote. And it says, "The student is the most important person in this school. Without students, there will be no need for this institution. Not a coal enrollment statistic, but a flesh and blood human being with feelings like our own. Not someone to be tolerated so that we can do our thing. They are our thing. Not dependent on us, rather we are dependent on them. Not an interruption of our work, but the purpose of it. We are not doing them a favor by serving them. They are doing us a favor by giving us the opportunity to do so." So we need to remember our purpose in doing this. Everything that we need to change, we're not always going to agree with things, but everything that we need to change also needs to always be in the best interest of the students. So we start off with our data, because our data is what drives our instruction. Lets us know where we need to go, lets us know where we're coming from, and also lets us set goals to increase our scores. So we are standing right now at a B, a letter grade B, our performance grade. If you notice that in 2016, we didn't meet. In 2017, we exceeded. And in 2018, we met our goal. So we are a letter grade B, which is a good thing. But we also have room to grow. So our data results, what drives our instruction and makes the choices we make. So like we said, we have room to grow. We have goals that were set for us. And in some of these, we did not meet our particular goals. So if we're looking at a particular one and all our students, if you say our goal was 64, we was close, but we was like 63.8. If we look at our Black students, our goal was at 45.2, and we have a goal of 39.6, which tells us that we have some room to grow. If we're looking at our economically disadvantaged students, 36.4 was our goal. We kind of gained that goal, 37.1. Hispanic students, 37.8, we kind of went over past that goal. Students with disabilities, we have a goal of 20.7, we were at 16.9. And then our results, our white kids, which was our goal was 76.7, we have surpassed that goal with 79.6. So we do have, our scores are good, but we do see room for growth. Definitely. And that's going to be turning with our NC report card scores as well. So when we're looking at proficiency of the scores, we're looking at our grade levels and our cohorts that we were looking at. So sixth grade, if you notice in 2015-16, they seem to go down every year. That's the group that we might need to do target and have some more supports in. 64.8, 64.4, 63.6. But if you're trying to look at cohort, so let's say we're looking at 2016, sixth grade was 64.4, and then we're looking at seventh grade, 2017, it was also a 64.4, which they kind of stayed the same, didn't really grow. If we're looking at seventh grade, 2016 score was 67.1 in reading. And if we want to look at the reading score for eighth grade, it was 62.7. So they also went down. And the same seems to be going down with our other cohorts too. So we want to remain or have an area of consistency that we're steadily growing and not falling back when we're looking at cohorts. So maybe it's always good to kind of look to see what can we start and how can we maintain. So we have a sixth grade group that comes in pretty strong. What can we do to maintain that level so that they continue on through the process of seventh and eighth grade continually growing? Performance grades is interesting. They haven't done that. This is the first year they're actually doing this performance grade score, and you can kind of see what it looks like. But if you're noticing the ones that is like an F, which is 34, that's our students with disabilities, which we said we're going to need to focus on. The other ones that seem to be low were our English learners, 54 was a D score, 53 for our economically disadvantaged kids. We also have 52 for our African American kids. And then it goes like 60 for Hispanic and 65. As a district goal, if you're not familiar with our district goals kind of mirrors what we need to do. Our district focus is to focus on African Americans, Hispanics, and ESL group. That's our district goal. And it pretty much means the same for our school as well. That's the kind of the areas that we need to focus on. So our focus areas are our African American, our ESL, our EC, and our Hispanic, because they are all ESL and Hispanic are sometimes kind of like the same. Some people think they are, but they are actually different subgroups. Okay, when we talk about subgroups, that's our African Americans, that's our white, that's our ESL, that's our EC, our Hispanic, our economically disadvantaged. These are our Asian. We have an Asian population that we didn't normally have before. Or we're increasing in our Asian population. So these are all things that we need to look at. So what does our data say? When we're looking at this, it says class sizes. This is our teacher working condition survey. And what we did was took our teacher working condition survey, and a lot of you took part in the in-house survey, focus group surveys that we did and try to compare. So one of the things that we noticed that are weak areas in our teacher working condition survey where the class sizes are reasonable. A lot of people say they're not because our class sizes are big. Some classes have 30 or more in the class, particularly the inclusion classes that need to be smaller. So we felt that was an area that needed to be worked on. The non-instructional time provided for teachers is sufficient. 63% said in 2018 said yeah, and in our survey that we did in-house, 56% said agreed. Okay, so that's still not a big area of concern, non-instructional time, and I know a lot of people in our teacher survey said that they weren't pleased with their planning time being taken up by doing hall duty or whatever, but keep in mind that we're still doing everything with the best interest of the kids. So the efforts are made to minimize the amount of routine paperwork, which was good, is at 88%. A lot of times we don't have a lot of paperwork that we have to do, and a lot of people stated it in their survey. Teachers have sufficient access to appropriate instructional materials. That was kind of down, which complaints are usually from the reading teachers that we don't have enough books. And a lot of the students have made that comment that we had more books in elementary school than we have in middle school. So what can we do to get more resources? We also know we have sufficient access. That's the one that got cut off. Sorry about that. Teachers have sufficient access to internet, and since we got that Verizon grant, we are 1-to-1 now. So that definitely has gone up 76.6% to 92%. The school environment is clean and well maintained. That was a big issue and concern for the teachers because they felt like our areas are not clean. Sometimes the trash can gets emptied, sometimes it doesn't. What can we do to improve that? And when they communicate with that, they feel that nothing is done about it. The faculty has an effective process for making group decisions. A lot of people don't know how we make decisions. like what's going on? How are we making our decisions that we have? How do we appoint that? Does the principal just appoint it, or do we have rules and procedures? And a lot of people noted that a handbook needs to be devised for us to do that. We didn't have a handbook this year, and me coming in new as a new teacher was kind of concerned about some of the things that what's appropriate, what does this school do? Because every school is different. Teachers have appropriate level of influence in decision making in school, which I said they don't. That went down 81.4 to 60. They don't know who makes the decisions and who is chosen and why is this particular person chosen. For example, like the SIT team, the SIT members, are they just appointed? Or do we suppose to have a vote? And I know actually we do suppose to vote on that, but in some cases it was stated that they didn't. There's an atmosphere of trust and mutual respect in the school. A lot of people, 82 to 60%. A lot of people felt that we don't have trust, and because we don't know each other, you're not going to talk to people that you really don't know. So more team bonding, more getting to know you kind of activities could be in place for that to happen. So we have a plan of what we need to do. For school leadership, this was divided, established a teacher buddy system, pairing teachers up with the buddy to support throughout the school, and develop a handbook to oversee meeting guidelines and protocols. That has come up several times. We need a handbook. We don't know. We need a reference to something. And that's something that I actually was working on for my internship hours as well, doing a handbook, and also who do you call for certain things. What will this do? What's the indicator that we know that it's succeed? Well, of course, we're going to go up about 20% or 10% on our teacher working conditions survey. The other thing, develop a handbook to oversee meeting guidelines. We have that. Continue training with the social emotional learning. So this year we have done social emotional learning. We have had some training through our central office staff that has come. We need to continue that because it's a step in the right process. Continue with the Patriot Pie mentoring group. This year we also tried the mentoring group, which was a success. The kids loved it. They loved going to see their mentor so that they could discuss activities. I think it might be a group did agree, or the team did discuss it and used to be academically focused as well, because some of the kids like going or leaving the class, but they still come back and don't have work, okay, or not doing work. So if we're going to mentor, we need to mentor in the right aspect or get them mentoring. The academics is important. Staff attendance, building relationships with students, positive attitudes. These are all the indicators of success for that. The other thing is for professional development, co-teaching needs to be in place for our EC classes, and maybe even ESL if it's possible. How can we train teachers so that they know what to do, or what's the best approaches or the different co-teaching models? Training on how to do lesson planning. One of the big pushes this year was getting your co-teacher to plan with you. Some people don't feel comfortable doing certain things in the lesson, and that needs to have that conversation of what can we do. And hopefully that will add to or increase our scores for our EC population as well. Plan e-time. That's the big thing. We have time in the morning that's not being used. So we have this time that is not structured time that everybody's doing everything. So the group talked about, are we going to do it or we're not going to do it? Is this something that we want to continue that's effective, or how do we know it's working? So if we are going to have something like that, we're going to also need to have something to track to see what the kids know and how is it working for them. Empowerment. So again, the staff handbook did come up again with that, how it needs to be developed, but also a staff share box or Google form. I know we have done the QR codes as far as you can scan and give a shout out to a teacher or whatever, but also staff needs to know that their concerns are being addressed, and that sometimes they want to know if it's being addressed at least within the week, if not immediately. It allows teachers to feel supported, which is one of the areas in our teaching working conditions survey that they said they didn't feel. Okay, facilities and resources. Establish a Google form to notify admin when the room is not clean. Again, it's also, we're part of our environment, so it's very important for our environment to be clean. Kids want to come into a clean environment. Adults want to be in a clean environment. It kind of changes your atmosphere, and it changes it to a working environment. Nobody wants to be in something that's dirty. So we also need to make sure that is happening. And we also talked about having PTA support us with maybe possibly buying more books up-to-date books or books that are on our grade level. We have a lot of the classics, but it's a lot of good stuff that could be increased overall reading, and possibly something that if we had more books, we can do that during e-time. Okay. And of course, try to reduce. I know it's hard because we have what we have, and we